Well, this is my first session of 2012 and I've really picked the terrible weather to come fishing in. It's been non-stop rain for most of the day, absolutely hammering it down, and as you can probably see the wind's ripping through as well. It's 30 mph winds with about 50 to 60 mph gusts, and I really am feeling it just here. It's quite an open lake, so it is hitting me quite hard. I had to get up twice in the night to peg the bivvy back down again. I mean, what we've got here is the lake across that side was dug out and then backfilled across this side, so this here is like the dam wall and it's kind of made up ground. And even though it was dug 20 odd years ago, well at least 20 odd years ago, it's still quite soft ground, and I had to get all my bank sticks out last night and use them as tent pegs, and we went all the way in about 18 inches into the ground. So luckily everything's still here, even though I nearly lost my bivvy last night. I'm still fishing. So as you probably noticed, the quality of this film is crap because I can't go out there. The camera will just get soaked and I'll get soaked as well, so excuse the quality for a minute. I've still not caught anything. I think I've probably employed the wrong tactics. With this weather front coming in, I probably should have carried on fishing the baited area and fishing over bait like I was before. But because of the lack of action, I've decided to change tactic a little bit and just use singles. So what I've been doing was I turned up last night and I was looking for showing fish and just putting singles to them basically and seeing what happens. I did see 2 shows, put a rod on each, but no action during the night, so yeah, I probably got that a little bit wrong, but never mind. Since my last vlog, I've had a couple of phone calls and talking to a few people about the stock of the lake. You know, last time I said there was 20 odd fish. I know I'd spoke to a few guys that had got some photos together, and as it turns out there's probably a lot more fish than that, but what there is probably 25 to 30 fish that come out fairly regular, you know, most years, and then there seems to be a stock above that that don't seem to come out, you know, just seem to come out once in a blue moon or just not come out at all. So there's maybe, I don't know, 10, 20 fish that hardly ever get seen out of here, so it does seem like there's quite a lot of carp. But they seem to be on natural food if they're not getting caught out of a small lake. But, hey, I'll still keep endeavouring to catch a few and keep you updated on my blog. Well, last week was an absolute nightmare in that wind. It was absolutely horrific at some points. You know, 60 mph gales and packing up, and it was terrible. It was a very, very frustrating thing. Half my gear ended up getting blown right down there and chasing around after bivvy bags and rod bags, and every time I tried to drop my bivvy, the wind got hold of it and dragging me down the bank. It was horrible and frustrating, and the blanked, which didn't help. But I'm back down again now and still not catching a great deal. Again, I don't know why. I'm trying a few different tactics at the minute to what I was trying before. I mean, I've tried everything down here this winter. I haven't done that many nights in all truth. I've probably done about 6 nights in what you class as winter conditions. But I've tried everything from baited areas, consistently fishing baited areas, singles, zig rigs, maggots, boilies, fishing various areas in the lake, and nothing seems to be working. As far as I know this winter, the only fish that's been out is that 22 I had. And that's the only one since mid-September, so I shouldn't beat myself up that much, you know, but still I can't help but think that I should be catching. There's a few other people fishing down here fairly consistently, you know, it's never packed down here, but there's normally somebody turning up for a walk around, or there's somebody down here fishing when I've been fishing, and I know from looking at a few of the swims when I had a walk around that there's been about 4 or 5 people down since I last fished last week. I don't know if they've caught, but I've certainly not heard anything on the grapevine, so I don't know. So keep changing tactics and keep chasing it, and just keep thinking of that big mirror that I want. I'm sure she'll come along sooner or later, but hey ho, well, I'll keep chipping on. Now you've probably noticed from the bivvy up in the background that the lake is across there. As I mentioned earlier, the lake's actually been backfilled. It's a farmer's field that's on a slope, and the far end was dug out and backfilled this end. You know, it's probably the easiest and cheapest way to build a lake, you know, because you haven't got to get rid of all the excess earth that you've dug out. So where we're filming this now is probably below where the fish are sitting. You know, we're certainly below water level. This bank's probably about 12 foot high, and I've been plummeting the lake itself and marking the depth, and the shelf is on a similar gradient to what we've got here. So imagine this is a lake bed. This would be about 12 foot deep at the base of the shelf just here, and as we go up and down, that's where the fish must be feeding. And this is what I'm trying to work out at the minute, whereabouts on the lake the fish will be feeding. Now I was thinking, being as winter, it would probably force fish down, and I've been concentrating mainly on the bottom of this shelf, just as it starts to go down into the silt. You know, it's a little bit gravelly, a little bit clayey, and I've been fishing just kind of in the gravelly clayey bit just before the silt, thinking, you know, that's where most of the goodness will get washed down, and the fish will be following the shelf on the way around. But I'm beginning to wonder maybe I should be fishing further up the shelf, in about 5-6 foot of water. You know, on days like today, it's middle of January, something like 12th of January, but it's about 12 degrees and it was a mild night last night. I bet it didn't drop below about 9-10 degrees. So I'm thinking maybe I should have been fishing further up the shelf. Now it's pretty much a barren bowl out there in the main body of the lake, so I'm sure the fish follow the contours of the shelf around. But I'm not sure what sort of depth they're sitting in. There's not a great deal. There's not a great deal out in the middle. There's no weed as such. I've not found any big depth variations. You know, there might be 6 inch variations, but I've not really plummeted it too much. So I'm thinking the only real feature you've got is the edge. So maybe I need to concentrate a little bit more on the edge and ignore the central part of the lake, and try a few different areas down the shelf to see what sort of depth they're at. I mean, maybe I need to respond to fish showing and let them tell me where they are. But a lot of the fish I've seen show are quite subtle shows, and they're kind of out in the pond, but I'm sure they must be coming in. You know, this kind of weed, little band of weed at the top of the shelf. Maybe they're just sitting below that and just coming into that on these mild days like today, and then the days that are freezing cold, then maybe they are dropping down a little bit. So maybe I need to basically do some detailed plumbing and concentrate 3 rods, one at the base of the shelf, one halfway up, and one at the top, and try from there. I don't know. But I'll keep thinking about things and see if we can work something out.